sky is big and black, and even though it's only 4 o'clock, the landscape is already beginning to lose its definition. Meanwhile, the wind that began as a stiff breeze when we boarded the train at Salisbury has developed into a full-blown gale. Naturally, Charles and I checked the weather forecast before we set off, but we weren't about to let a little old severe weather warning spoil our plans. Not when we had booked and paid for our first-class rail tickets and boutique hotel with its rainfall shower and 2 AA Rosette restaurant. In any case, who cancels their honeymoon? I hope we're not going to spend the entire fortnight stuck in the hotel room, I say, sighing heavily. Charles reaches over and takes my hand. Actually, I think that would be rather romantic, the two of us, holed up together, someplace warm and cozy. But you hate being stuck in one place for too long. You'll be bored. He draws my hand to his lips and kisses my knuckles. Grace, my love, I could be stuck in a lift with you for 100 years and never be bored. My heart swells absurdly at the words. I love Charles so much. Not smugly or sloppily, but with a great thumping visceral certainty. We met 2 years ago at a sponsored bungee jump, organised to raise funds for a local leukemia charity. Charles was behind me in the queue as we waited to plunge from a crane platform 160 feet above the ground. When he saw how nervous I was, he offered to take me through some deep breathing exercises to calm me down. It proved to be a highly effective distraction, not least because of his impressive physique and his eyes that were like trapdoors, dark and deep. Once we were both safely back on terra firma, he proposed celebrating our achievement with a drink in the pub around the corner. I thought about it for all of 2 seconds, and then I said yes. The more we talked, the more I liked him, and as day turned into night, something shifted in the air, and I felt our bodies draw towards one another, magnetic and irresistible. Later, as we swapped numbers outside the pub, I leaned into his chest and my ear found his heartbeat. I knew there and then that this was the start of something special. Although our relationship became serious fairly early on, I never entertained any thoughts of marriage, or even a joint mortgage. Back then, the very word husband smacked to me of tedium, of entrapment, of constant petty bickering about whose turn it was to empty the dishwasher, and if I was lucky, crap sex. If I was unlucky, there would be no sex at all. I was convinced my life was perfect just the way it was. A well-paid job as a senior HR exec for a global tech company, a beautiful apartment overlooking the park, and a large and loyal circle of friends, many of whom I'd known since school. I had absolutely no intention of giving up my independence anytime soon. But last summer, Charles and I went to Turkey, and everything I thought I knew about myself turned out to be wrong. It was only our second foreign holiday together, a 3-center break that was weeks in the planning. Up until then, I saw myself as young, strong, fit. In other words, invincible. It never occurred to me that I might need to rely on anyone for anything. But sometimes, even the most charmed existence can change in the blink of an eye. That's exactly what happened to me when I had my accident. I understood for the first time that I did need someone. I needed Charles, because if it wasn't for him, I would be dead. Recuperating from my physical injuries was a slow and often painful process, but much more difficult to deal with was the psychological fallout. Before the accident, I was confident, ambitious, eager to step outside of my comfort zone. Afterwards, I changed completely. I became cautious, jumpy, overly sensitive. Night times were the worst. Alone in the darkness, coiled tight with fear, I squeezed my memories into the murkiest corners of my mind as I tried to forget just how close I came to death. Every part of my body seemed to jangle, and my head throbbed with the effort of blocking out all the thoughts I couldn't allow myself to think. While the fear has receded, it's still there, an ugly, misshapen thing lurking in the shadows, waiting for the next opportunity to sink its teeth into my neck. Even now, 5 months later, I don't like reliving what happened that day in Turkey.